If you're navigating divorce or separation right now, you're probably feeling overwhelmed, uncertain, and maybe even a little lost. You're in the right place. This is the Soft Landing Divorce Podcast, where we prove that even in the midst of ending a marriage, you can move forward with dignity, clarity, and yes, peace. But here's what makes us different. Ken and Sarah are going to share solutions and strategies that the divorce industrial complex never talks about. Approaches that will open your eyes to things unseen by most. Take today's topic, for instance. Even if your divorce feels like a battlefield, you can still create a fair pet custody agreement without expensive lawyers eating up your savings. These are the kinds of practical money-saving strategies that traditional divorce professionals won't tell you exist, because frankly, they don't profit from your success. Whether you're just starting to consider separation or you're deep in the process, our goal remains simple: to help you and your children land as softly as possible on the other side. So grab your coffee, get comfortable, and let's dive in with Ken and Sarah as they reveal what the industry doesn't want you to know.
Hey everyone, welcome back. I've got something fresh and really eye-opening for you today on the Soft Landing Divorce Podcast. We're doing a deep dive into something that's, well, it's honestly pretty controversial. The treatment of pets as property in family court, and whether we actually need some serious reform here.
Oh, Ken, this is such an important topic, and I'm really excited to dig into this because, it affects so many families going through divorce. I'm Sarah Bates, certified divorce specialist and the guide behind Naked Divorce Filer by DTSW, and I've been working in family law for over a decade now. And let me tell you, the way we handle pet custody is it's really outdated.
Right. And Sarah, I think most people listening probably think of their pets as, family members. But the courts see it totally differently, don't they?
Absolutely, Ken. And this is where it gets really frustrating for pet parents. The courts refer to pets as property, literally property, like a TV or a car, And there's this case that really highlights the problem. Justice Richard Daniliuk actually set this precedent by dismissing a pet custody case entirely, calling it a wasteful and demeaning use of court time.
Wow, that's pretty harsh. So what exactly did he say about pets?
He basically put pets in the same category as, get this, a sofa, a cannonball bed, and a 2012 Buick. Can you imagine? And while he made some points about court efficiency, the reality is that for many pet parents, pets can't simply be classified as property. They have personalities, they have feelings. They're living beings, not mere property like a TV or a car.
That's incredible. And I'm guessing this creates some pretty intense situations for families going through divorce.
Oh, absolutely. Pets often become a huge contention point in separation proceedings. And here's the scary part. Taking a pet dispute to the courts could actually result in the pet being sold, like literally sold, and the proceeds divided between the couple. Can you imagine losing your beloved dog or cat that way?
That's awful. But I've heard there was some high-profile case that really brought this issue to light.
Yes, Alan Markin, one of the owners of the Calgary Flames, launched a $2 million lawsuit against his 22-year-old stepson during his divorce. And the center of this claim, custody of Molly, the family's Dalmatian. He demanded that his stepson either surrender Molly and pay $1 million in damages or keep her and pay $2 million.
$2 million? For a dog? That's insane.
I know it sounds crazy, but it really shows you how important these pets are to people. For animal lovers, losing a family pet can be as traumatic as losing a family member. And this is why the current system is so problematic. We're asking judges who've never met your pet, who don't understand that bond, to make these life-changing decisions in like 5 minutes.
5 minutes? That seems really rushed for such an important decision.
Ken, the family court system is so overloaded right now. It's like going to the passport office with these long waiting lists for maybe a 20-minute hearing. Long gone are the days of well-considered decisions with judges sitting in their chambers, really thinking through your case. You've got about 5 minutes to win your case, and that's it.
So are there any positive changes happening? Any courts that are starting to see pets differently?
Actually, yes. Some courts are beginning to recognize pets as more than property, and this is really encouraging. Recently, some courts have started to treat pets more like children than chattels, especially with dogs. They're even making determinations about the best interest of the pet in deciding custody and awarding shared custody, visitation, and even alimony payments to the custodian.
That's fascinating. Are there any other trends you're seeing?
There's this emerging trend that I really love. Pets staying with the children as a calming influence to help in the separation transition. It makes so much sense, right? Kids are already dealing with this massive upheaval, and having their beloved pet with them can provide that stability and comfort they desperately need.
That makes total sense. But what about determining who actually owns the pet legally? How does that work?
So under Ontario's family law, pet guardianship is still classified as property, which means there's no provision for custody or access like we have with children. The court looks at concrete evidence like who initially purchased the pet, who covered the pet's expenses, including medical and veterinary bills, pet registration details like microchips and licenses, and who primarily cared for the pet day to day.
So it's really about proving ownership rather than what's best for the pet.
Exactly. And this is where the system falls short. We're not asking what's best for this living being. We're asking who owns this piece of property. It's really backwards when you think about it. The analysis is evidence-based, focusing on financial contributions, registration documents, care responsibilities, but it's devoid of the custody and access frameworks we apply to children.
Given all these problems with the court system, what do you recommend for people facing pet custody issues?
This is where I get really passionate, Ken. It's crucial to negotiate your pet's future in your separation agreement before you ever set foot in a courtroom. Courtrooms are not ideal places for disputes over pet custody. The best course of action is to attempt to come to an agreement with your spouse and put it in your separation agreement.
And if they can't reach an agreement on their own?
Then mediation and arbitration are your best bets. As a divorce mediator, the issue of caring for pets often comes up, and so far we've successfully settled these issues in mediation without requiring court interference. Mediation for pet custodianship will result in a much more amicable and favorable written agreement for everyone involved, just like with child custody cases.
That makes sense. But getting back to the bigger picture, is there a need for new laws to handle pet custody during divorce?
This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? While many pet parents and family lawyers argue that fur babies are family members requiring the same rights, making new laws around pets in family law could potentially open the floodgates to many new cases. And honestly, that's the very last thing our overloaded family court system needs right now.
So you're saying reform might actually make things worse?
Well, it's complicated. I mean, I understand why people want these laws. The dogs in my life, they're like children to me, truly priceless in the joy they bring. I could never imagine them being sold under court order for cash. But extending pets as pseudo-children, granting them the same access to justice as child custody matters, it could create a whole new category of complex litigation that our courts just aren't equipped to handle.
So what's the solution then? We can't just leave things as they are, can we?
I think the solution lies in education and alternative dispute resolution. Just as child custody disputes don't really belong in family court, I believe it's the same with pets. A judge hasn't walked in your shoes, has lived a different life than you, and having met you for the first time, has minimal understanding of why you're in court. You've likely spent valuable time investigating the food your dog eats, which vet to use, which doggy daycare. Now you're going to let a total stranger determine your pet's future in less than 20 minutes.
When you put it that way, it does sound pretty insane.
Right? And this is why I'm such a strong advocate for mediation and arbitration. An agreement regarding pet custody reached jointly is always more durable and long-lasting than a solution imposed by a judge. The key is flexible thinking, managed emotions, and moderated behaviors. And if you reach an impasse, arbitration is like hiring a private judge who understands your specific situation.
So as we wrap things up here, what's your take on whether reform is actually needed?
You know, Ken, I think we need reform and approach more than reform in law. We need to recognize that pets are living beings with emotional bonds to their families, but we also need to be realistic about our court system's limitations. The answer isn't necessarily new laws. It's better education about alternatives like mediation and helping people understand that they have the power to create their own solutions outside of court.
That's really insightful. And it puts the power back in the hands of the families who know their pets best.
Exactly, because at the end of the day, nobody knows your pet better than you do. Nobody understands their needs, their personality, their bonds with family members better than the people who love them. And that's something no court system, no matter how well-intentioned, can replicate in a 5-minute hearing.
Sarah, this has been absolutely fascinating. Before we finish up, what might our listeners do differently now that they understand the treatment of pets as property in family court and whether reform is needed?
I'd encourage everyone listening to really think about this. If you're facing separation or divorce and you have pets, don't wait for the courts to figure this out. Take control of the situation. Have those difficult conversations with your partner about what's truly best for your pets. Consider mediation if you can't agree. And remember, your pets depend on you to advocate for them, because right now the legal system isn't doing that for you.
And on that note, what might you do differently now that you understand the treatment of pets as property in family court? Until next time, keep advocating for those who can't speak for themselves.
And that's a wrap on today's episode. Divorce doesn't have to be as complicated, costly, or drawn out as the industry often makes it seem. You have more choices than you've been told, and more strength than you may realize. Whether you're navigating property division, custody arrangements, or yes, even figuring out what happens to your beloved pets, there are strategic approaches that put you in the driver's seat instead of leaving everything up to chance in a courtroom. Speaking of pets, if you're wondering how to protect your four-legged family members through this process, you'll want to check out our comprehensive guide, The Underground Pet Custody Playbook: How to Keep Your Fur Baby After Divorce, without letting judges decide their fate. Because let's be honest, no one knows what's best for Fluffy better than you do. If today's conversation resonated with you, here's what we'd love you to do. Subscribe to the Soft Landing Divorce podcast and leave us a review. It helps other people who desperately need this information find us. Share this episode with someone who's struggling through separation. Sometimes the kindest thing we can do is remind someone they're not alone. Hit that subscribe button because we've got so much more to share with you. Until then, keep moving toward your soft landing. You've got this, and we've got you.